This is echoes carved by the ancestors. The petroglyphs in this image ignite the imagination, inspiring the vibrant interpretation behind today's story.
Long ago, when the desert stretched farther than memory and the cliffs glowed red beneath the evening sun, there lived a young mountain goat named Koro. Koro was unlike the other goats of his herd. While the others preferred the safety of the high cliffs, Koro was endlessly curious. He wondered what lay beyond distant mesas. He wondered where the dry riverbeds led. He wondered what secrets hid among the endless rocks and canyons. His elders warned him often. "The desert is full of dangers," they said. "Stay with the herd." But curiosity pulled at Koro's heart like the wind pulling at desert grass. One spring morning, while the herd grazed among the cliffs, Koro wandered farther than ever before. At first, the journey was exciting. He climbed ridges. He explored narrow canyons. He crossed ancient stone valleys. Then he realized he could no longer see his herd. The familiar cliffs had disappeared. For the first time in his life, Koro was alone. Fear settled inside him. The sun was beginning its long descent toward the horizon. He needed shelter before darkness arrived. As he searched among the rocks, he noticed movement beside a small boulder, a scorpion. Its dark body glistened beneath the sunlight, its tail arched high above its back. Koro immediately stepped away. Every story he had heard described scorpions as dangerous creatures. The scorpion looked equally startled. It backed away cautiously. For several moments, they simply stared at one another. Neither trusted the other. Neither wished to come closer. Finally, the scorpion spoke. "My name is Sira." Koro blinked. "I am Koro." Silence followed. Then Sira asked, "Are you lost?" Koro hesitated. "A little." Sira glanced around the canyon. "You are very lost." Despite his fear, Koro laughed. It was the first laugh he had managed all day. Sira explained that she knew the desert better than most creatures. Unlike goats, she spent her life among rocks, washes, and hidden crevices. Every trail was familiar to her. Every canyon held memories. Koro felt hopeful. "Can you help me find my herd?" "Perhaps," Sira said, "but your herd is many days away from here." Koro's ears drooped. Many days. The thought frightened him. Yet Sira continued, "I know the way north. If we travel together, we may find them." Koro looked at the tiny scorpion. The idea seemed ridiculous. One was large. One was small. One climbed cliffs. One crawled through cracks. They shared almost nothing. Still, they were both alone. "Very well," Koro said. "We travel together." Thus began the long journey of two strangers. The first challenge came quickly. The following afternoon, dark clouds gathered above the desert. Strong winds swept across the land. Sand began filling the air. A great dust storm approached. Koro panicked. He had never experienced such a storm away from protection of his herd. The wind grew stronger. The sky turned brown. Visibility vanished. "We must run," Koro shouted. "Wrong," Sira replied. "What?" "Follow me." The tiny scorpion disappeared beneath a cluster of rocks. Koro hesitated. The opening looked far too small. But as the storm intensified, he trusted her. Nearby, he discovered a larger overhang connected to the same rocky formation. Together they sheltered while sand roared across the desert like an angry ocean. For hours the storm raged. When it finally passed, Koro looked at Sira with new respect. "You saved me." Sira simply nodded. "And you listened." Days later they entered a region of sharp black rocks. The terrain became difficult. Even Koro struggled to navigate it. At one point Sira became trapped inside a narrow crevice. A sudden rock slide had sealed her exit. She pushed. She dug. Nothing moved. Fear filled her heart. For the first time during the journey, she felt helpless. "Koro!" The goat rushed to the crack. He could barely see her. "I cannot get out," Sira called. Koro examined the stones. Using his powerful horns, he pushed against the largest rock. Once, twice, 3 times. Finally the stone shifted. Light entered the crevice. A few more powerful shoves cleared the path. Sira emerged safely. Neither spoke for several moments. Then she quietly said, "You saved me." Koro smiled, "And you would have done the same." The desert taught them many lessons. They crossed dry riverbeds. They climbed mesas. They survived scorching days and freezing nights. With every challenge, their friendship grew. Koro learned patience from Sira. The scorpion never rushed. She studied every path carefully. She thought before acting. Sira learned courage from Koro. When danger appeared, the goat moved forward despite fear. Together they balanced one another. One provided caution. The other provided bravery. One evening they reached a hidden spring. Crystal water flowed from ancient stone. As they drank, Sira asked a question. "Why did you leave your herd?" Koro lowered his head. "I wanted adventure." "And was it worth it?" The goat stared at the water. "At first I thought adventure meant seeing new places. And now I think adventure means becoming someone new." Sira considered his answer. It was wiser than she expected. Weeks passed. One morning they discovered fresh tracks. Goat tracks. Many of them. Koro's heart raced. His herd could not be far away. Excitedly he followed the trail. But before long, the tracks vanished near a canyon. Something was wrong. Then came a sound. A cry. A young goat stood trapped on a narrow ledge high above the canyon floor. The frightened animal had become separated from the herd. The ledge was unstable. Loose stones fell with every movement. If the young goat panicked, it would fall. Koro searched desperately for a solution. The ledge was too dangerous even for him. Then Sira noticed a hidden path weaving through cracks in the canyon wall. It was narrow, too narrow for Koro, perfect for her. "I have an idea," she said. Carefully she climbed to the cracks until she reached the trapped youngster. The frightened goat nearly bolted. "Stay calm," Sira said gently. "You are safe." Slowly she guided the youngster's attention away from fear. Meanwhile, Koro positioned himself below. Following Sira's directions, the young goat carefully descended the hidden path. Minutes later it reached safety. The youngster ran straight to Koro. At that moment voices echoed through the canyon. Goats! Dozens of them. The herd had arrived. Koro could hardly believe it. After weeks of searching, he had finally found his family. His mother rushed forward. The elders gathered around him. Everyone celebrated his return. Yet amid the joy, Koro felt something unexpected. Sadness, because he knew the journey was ending. Sira stood quietly near the rocks. She knew it too. Eventually Koro walked over. "You should come with us." Sira smiled. "The cliffs are not meant for scorpions. We would make room." And who would guide travelers through the desert? Neither spoke for a while. The desert wind moved softly through the canyon. Finally Sira said, "When we first met, you feared me." "I did, and I feared you." Koro laughed. "That is true. Yet we became friends. The best kind." Sira nodded. "The kind who help one another grow." The next morning they said goodbye. Koro returned to the cliffs. Sira returned to the desert. Their paths separated, but neither forgot the other. Years later, Koro became one of the wisest leaders his herd had ever known. Whenever young goats judged others too quickly, he told them about a scorpion. Whenever they feared creatures who looked different, he told them about a scorpion. Whenever they believed strength belonged only to the largest animals, he told them about a scorpion. Far away, Sira shared similar stories. Whenever young scorpions believed large animals could not be trusted, whenever they doubted the value of friendship, whenever they faced impossible challenges, she told them about a goat. And so the story spread across the desert. A story not about size, not about strength, not about survival, but about two strangers who discovered that the greatest journeys are not measured by distance. They are measured by the hearts that travel together. For the dust storms of life cannot always be faced alone. The steep cliffs cannot always be climbed alone. The hardest paths become possible when different strengths unite. And sometimes the most unlikely friendship becomes the greatest treasure a traveler will ever find.
Thank you for listening to Echoes Carved by the Ancestors. This has been an interpretation of the petroglyph from the American Southwest. This petroglyph panel is most likely associated with a southwestern Native American culture, such as the Fremont, ancestral Puebloan, Mogollon, Hohokam, or a related desert tradition. It appears to depict a large, significant animal surrounded by human figures, possibly representing hunting, migration, ceremonial activity, ancestral teachings, or a sacred relationship between people and an important game animal. The exact meaning is unknown, but the imagery suggests themes of survival, cooperation, respect for nature, and cultural memory. As with most prehistoric rock art, the true meaning is unknown, but archaeologists often interpret the symbols through recurring themes. To hear more stories from the ancestors, choose another story, explore one of our playlists, or subscribe to our channel using the links on your screen.